I'm Will, and welcome back to Will's Digitals, your home for everything Photoshop and composite art. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to create fantastic water reflections. First part is easy, so let's open our picture in Photoshop. I've got one here. This is a lighthouse that I took, I believe, down on South Padre. And we notice the water's pretty choppy, and there's not any reflection in it, and we're gonna cure that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take our rectangular selection tool. Well, maybe. There we go. And we're going to run right along this little line here. We're going to get everything above. And then using Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC, we're going to copy the layer. Copy the selection. Then using Command V on a Mac or Control V on a PC, we're going to paste it and create a new layer. Next, we need to flip it. So what we're going to do, very easy, make sure we have our layer selected. Control T, right click, and we want to flip vertical. And now it's upside down. Now we're going to just drag it into place here. We do that by making the line at the bottom match the line at the top. And we can see now we have our reflection, but it looks just a little bit too perfect, right? So let's add a little blur to it. But before we do that, as always, when we do filters, let's make our object a smart object. So we just right click on the layer, click convert to smart object, and now whatever filters we apply, we can come back and edit later if we want to. Okay, so now for the blur. Open the filter menu and we're going to use motion blur. So let's go filter, blur, motion blur. And now we can just kind of set this to whatever we think is going to be for the kind of weather we're trying to emulate. I do at least want it to kind of appear like what it is. Okay, so that should do there. Next, we need to make the ripples. And to do this, we're going to need to create a new document. And we're going to make this 600 by 1,000. Whoops, 1,000. I probably don't need to make it 300, but I'm going to. The size isn't really that big a deal. As long as it's taller than it is wide, we should be good to go. Next thing we need to do is we're going to change the background to black. So in order to turn this black, all we have to do is make sure we have white as the foreground color. All we have to do is hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC and click the delete key, and we have a black background. Now we're going to select filter menu, noise, and add noise. Notice I'm not creating a smart object out of this because I really am not going to need to change these. Okay. We're going to set the noise to the maximum amount of noise, 400%. I believe uniform is probably what we're looking for, and monochromatic. So click OK. Next, we're going to blur it a little bit. So we're going to go to the filter menu, blur, Gaussian blur, our old standby. And we just want it between 1 and 2 pixels, just a little bit. There we go. Now we need to open the Channels panel. Hard to say, Channels panel, which should be located next to the Layer panel. If you don't see it, the Channel panel, just go to the Window menu, come down and click on Channels. So in the Channel panel, we're going to go to the red, and then we're going to go to Filter, Stylize, Emboss. And we're going to set a height of 1, an angle of 180, and the amount to max. And we click OK for that. Now we're going to go to the green panel, and we're going to do almost the same thing. We're going to go Filter, Stylize, Emboss. And all we need to change is we're going to move this one up to 90. Okay, the next thing we're going to need to do is bend the living daylights out of this using perspective. So we hit Control T, we're going to right click, and we're going to say perspective. You're going to grab the bottom corner. It doesn't matter if it's the left or right corner, and stretch out like there's no tomorrow. You can use Command -sign to back out. We'll recenter this, and we're going to pull it out some more. And now if we look at it, it kind of looks like waves, which is what we were going for. So now what we need to do is we need to save this. We're going to end up using this with the displace filter. Go ahead and save it. And I would save it someplace where you can get to it all the time, because you can use this over and over again. So let's go waves, displace. There we go. Okay, maximum compatibility. Okay. So now we go back over to the lighthouse and we go to make sure we're still on the correct layer. We are. We come back in here and we're going to go to filter, distort, displace. And we're going to want to go 10, probably about 40. Right there, we want stretch to fit, we want repeat edge pixels, and we want embed data. Click OK, and now we go out and we get our waves displacement file. And now that looks pretty good. Looking at that, that may not be rough enough. Let's try something here. We're going to go in and we're just going to change the 40 on the vertical to, let's say, 60. And we pick out the displace file again. I think that looks a little better. Okay, so see, there's really nothing to it. Now with that pick though, we just made a nice reflection in existing water. But this technique will work even if there's no water in the picture, with just one additional step. So check it out. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We don't have to recreate the displacement mask. We already have one of those. Watch this. So we're going to take this, which is just a tree out in the middle of a field, and let's go and we'll do the same thing we did before. I don't want to get the road in the water, so I'm going to be right under there. We'll go do this, and Command C, Command V. I'm going to unlock the background. And remember, Command T or Control T, we right click, flip vertical. We bring this down till it matches up. And I'm trying to go off the trunk of the tree. There we go. I think that matches. Okay, now I'll tell you what, let's do. I really like this guy, so let's go to the crop tool. And we're going to remove the generative fill thing here so I don't accidentally click it. And let's bring that down a little bit more. Click OK. Now I like that. That's pretty good. So now let's add a little blur. You almost caught me. We need to make it a smart object. There we go. Now we're going to add some motion blur. Motion blur. And let's see. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. So we've already created our displacement layer, if you remember, right over there. So now all we have to do is go up to our filter, displace, and yeah, let's go with 40 and see how that looks. There's our displacement file. It's not bad. Let's try it a little rougher. Displace. Whoops, no. Almost caught me. I was going to add another displacement. We just want to fix our current displacement. There we go. All right, we choose our displacement file, open it again, give it a second. That looks pretty good. All right, what you need to do to make this look just a little more lifelike is add a layer above the one we've been working on. And we want to make sure our brush is black. Actually, probably what we want to do is, let's get our foreground color here and go over and just sample. And then we need a brush tool. And we just want a soft round brush. And let's see. Okay, and we just need to run a line right across there like that. Now, what we're doing is, oops, I think I missed the spot. There we go. So I'm clicking, by the way, the brush. I'm holding the shift key and I click again and it draws a straight line. Now, normally when water meets land, there's a little bit of a drop off, and that's really all we're doing here is we're making a little bit of a drop off. We can lighten it up just a little bit. I don't like the color of this actually, so I'm going to get rid of it and redo it. Let's delete this layer, add a new layer, and I'm just going to go with the default black and see if I like that better. All right, so there we go. And now we can just drop the opacity just a little bit, about there. And now, there we go. That looks pretty good to me. At the end, all you needed was that mark to show where the shore was, and we turned a picture that had no water in it whatsoever. It was just out in a field, and we actually put water with a reflection and a shoreline on it. Now try to make one of your photos into a shoreline photo. It's just so easy. It's nothing to it. Well, that's going to do it for today. If you're enjoying the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and we'll see you next time.